team. Cowboys. And who I'm rolling with, huh?
Welcome to another episode of Classic Dallas Cowboys Talk. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. Jesus Christ died and he rose again. It's going to get into it. Okay. So, the other day, I showed you, Steve Walsh's, NFL, 1990 NFL Pro Set card, okay? And he was traded to the Saints 2 games into the season. So, and I think one of the reasons why he was traded to the Saints, because the Saints quarterback at that time, Bobby Hebert, was holding out, okay? And Jim Mora needed somebody. And lo and behold, Cowboys have Steve Walsh, who I believe was trade bait the entire time. Traded him to the New Orleans Saints, okay? 2 games into the 1990 season. Well, actually 3 games into the 1990 season, he got traded, okay? So, but if Bobby Hebert doesn't hold out with the New Orleans Saints, okay, I believe Steve Walsh stays on the roster, okay? I believe Steve Walsh stays on the roster for possibly the entire season, okay? So, going into no. At the end of 1990, okay, we had won 4 straight games, okay. We were at one point during the 1990 season 3-7, okay. Then we reeled off 4 straight wins, beginning with the Rams, the Redskins, the Saints, and the Cardinals, okay. Emmitt Smith actually had the game-winning touchdown run against the Redskins. It was like a 43-yarder or 41-yarder or something like that, okay. So he had the winning touchdown against the Redskins, and somehow he outran Darryl Green, the fastest man in the league, a rookie. Imagine that, a rookie outrunning the fastest man in the league, okay. So we were sitting at 7-7, and so we go into one of the toughest places to play in Philadelphia, and thanks to Clyde Simmons, Troy Aikman separated his shoulder and was out for the rest of the year, and Dave Offenberg, who is now on the Cowboys broadcast team. He's been on the broadcast team ever since like 92 or something like that. 1992 or something like that. Dave Offenberg came in and didn't do a good job. He threw a pick six to Eric Allen. Okay. Yeah, so we lost 17-3 in Philly. Then he started the next week against the Atlanta Falcons, okay, which put us at 7-8, okay. And then started the next week against the Falcons, and then this happened.
Well here today, but what a job Jimmy Johnson has done with these Dallas Cowboys.
Is a remarkable turnaround after only winning 1 game last year and winning as many as he did this year. I think they have something to hang their hat on and look forward to in 1991.
The Cowboys' future indeed looks very
Yeah. I think at one point we trailed the Falcons 26-0 in that game. Yeah, I think at one point we trailed the Falcons 26-0 in that game. Like, damn. 26-0, 27-0. Yeah, so that Jay Novacek touchdown pass, that was the only touchdown pass of the day for the Dallas Cowboys, okay? And that came in the fourth quarter, towards the end of the game, okay? And so we finished the season at 7-9, right? But we could still make the playoffs, okay? Believe it or not, we can still make the playoffs at 7-9, okay? Because the last game of the season, the Los Angeles Rams were playing the New Orleans Saints, last game of the season, okay? And if the Rams win that game, and the Saints lose, we're in. Okay? If the Saints lose that game, the Cowboys are in the playoffs. And the Rams came up just a little bit short. The Saints won the game 20-17. Okay? And so, but again, if the Rams win that game, the Cowboys become the first 7-9 team to make the playoffs, okay? And we probably would have played the Bears, which is who the New Orleans Saints played in the playoffs, and got kicked out of the playoffs by the Chicago Bears. So it was one and done for the Saints, okay? But a couple of storylines emerged from that game, okay? A couple of storylines emerged from that game that ironically carried over into the 1991 season, okay? So, Tony Casillas, okay? Hold on. There we go. Yeah. Right there. Yeah. So, Tony Casillas has spent the past 5 years with the Atlanta Falcons, okay? And he was a pretty good player. But he fell out of favor. But when Jerry Glanville took over in 1990 as head coach, he fell out of favor with Jerry Glanville, okay? And so after the game, so after the Falcons won 27-7, I believe Tony Casillas came up to Jimmy Johnson and said, "Hey, if there's any way I can play for you guys, okay?" And Jimmy Johnson actually tells a story. Okay. I'm going to get to Jerry Glanville in a minute, okay? Because Jimmy Johnson actually has something to say about Jerry Glanville too, right? But I'm going to get into Tony Casillas first. In 1991, hold on, and all his hot dogging, referring to Jerry Glanville, would in 1991 net the Dallas Cowboys and me a hell of a defensive tackle named Tony Casillas, who wanted to be traded by the Falcons mainly because he couldn't put up with being part of the cast of extras in Jerry Glanville's show any longer. I got Tony for 2 draft choices, a 2, and then 8. Talk about a steal of a deal. And it wasn't so much because we outsmarted Atlanta as because Glanville is stubborn. And he will put a player in his doghouse and never let him out. Glanville, Tony has said, has sort of a narcissistic personality. There's no room for other egos. It's him or you're out. And to appease Glanville, you have to basically get down and basically kiss his butt. Tony was another guy we'd known from way back. We tried to recruit him at Oklahoma State. He liked my crew a lot and while we were recruiting him, but chose Switzer's Oklahoma for the higher profile tradition. When we got to Dallas and Tony got into Glanville's doghouse, Tony came to our staff and said, "Hey, if there's any way I could get an opportunity to play for you guys." And an opportunity. Hell, the guy would start all 16 games for us in 91. and he remains an enormous force in making us consistently one of the best defenses against the run in the league. Tony Casillas came to us because he knew and liked the way we treat people. A former Lombardi Trophy winner, he had been miserable in Atlanta, and his production had been up to par because of the way he was treated. Tony came to us precisely at the right time. In 1990, I had gone back to doing things I'd always done, meeting with the players on a regular basis and talking to them about being a team. Okay. Yeah. I'm glad. I know Jimmy Johnson's glad he traded for Tony Casillas because 2 Super Bowls later. Yeah, I think Tony Casillas is glad had too. He came to the Dallas Cowboys, right? Yeah. And there goes Tony Casillas right there, throwing up his hands, letting everybody know how much he loves to be a Dallas Cowboy now. Okay, yeah. So that's Tony Casillas right there, and there goes Tony Casillas right there. Been with the Falcons since '86. Yeah, been with the Falcons since '86, and like I said, fell out of favor with Jerry Glanville, came to Dallas, and yeah. Now, as far as Jimmy Johnson versus Jerry Glanville, okay. Jimmy Johnson first met Jerry Glanville at the Super Bowl. Cowboys, 49ers versus Bengals, Super Bowl in 1988. Okay. So there were a few coaches there, including Coach Glanville. Jimmy Johnson tells it like this. He says, he came up to me and kind of nudged me and said, "Jimmy, I like your style. You and I, we're two of a kind." I looked at him and smiled, but I was thinking the whole time, BS. Okay? We're not two of a kind. Don't put me in your category, and for that matter, don't put me in anybody's category. Okay? And I remember Colin Cowherd talking about this. He was talking about fun coaches and serious coaches, okay? He said Jerry Glanville was fun. Don Shula and Jimmy Johnson were serious. You know? So I will tell you this about Glanville. He drives you crazy and he drives me crazy, but I'm glad I'm not in the same division with him. He can get people to play. That team is dangerous. They may not be consistently good, but they can blindside you with that roller coaster emotion of theirs. Which is why in 1991, the theme of the Atlanta Falcons was, quote, "Too legit to quit." Yeah. You remember the 91 Falcons? Too legit to quit when MC Hammer was standing on the sidelines the whole season, right? I think he's a good coach, but all of those things does not detract. But all those things he does detract not only from his football team, but from his own coaching ability. Okay, and that's when the part that Tony Casillas comes in. Hang on. Road. Okay. Oh, that's the right one. That's the right one. Just okay. Okay, so yeah, Jerry Glanville was actually talking to the refs last game of the 1991 season. Okay, ironically, which was Falcons versus Cowboys. So Jerry Glanville did a lot of talking that game. Okay, here it is.
The one's a bad call, and I was upset at that bad call over there until I saw your bad call. Your bad call trumped that bad call. What the hell's the problem? Come on! Knock the damn guy out! I don't want you getting a penalty, Campbell. You get a penalty, your ass is walking on you with me. What do you do for a living?
I sell children's clothes.
Children's clothes? I got 9-year-olds. You got anything on sale?
But even schemers can be had.
Where do you live? Where's your hometown? Dallas? Oh, now I know. If you live in Dallas, that should be illegal. How the hell do I get a Dallas official in Dallas?
I could have told you.
He's from Dallas. Are you Jimmy Johnson's neighbor? No.
Yeah, so Jerry Glanville did a lot of talking, and those clips right there probably made you wonder why Jimmy Johnson. That's probably the reason why Jimmy Johnson said Jerry Glanville. He and Jerry Glanville are not one of a kind. They're not. No, they're not in the same category, right? And so, it comes down to the last game of the season for the yeah. So it comes down to the last game of the season. Falcons and Cowboys. Hang on. Hold on. Okay. Hang on. All right. Nope. So, comes down to the last game of the season. Atlanta at Dallas. And the previous year, the Cowboys season had ended at the hands of the Atlanta Falcons, okay? And so, here we are, last game of the season. Alexander Wright had a 102-yard kickoff return. Michael Irvin caught a touchdown pass. Isaac Holt got beat forward to touchdown. Go figure, right? And so, I think the Cowboys pretty much remember what the Falcons did to them the previous year.
You know, the one thing about Emmett, probably more than any back I've been with, is he could take over a game. And in the last game against Atlanta, I remember sitting up in the box and calling plays to him and just saying, this guy is just completely taking this game over.
It's just a matter of trusting my blockers, trusting the system, but yet taking advantage of what the skill set that I brought to the table to maximize the play.
Emmitt Smith has the lead right now over Barry Sanders. This is it. It's over. Dallas wins it. 7-9 last year, 11-5 this year. Great football game, and if there's such a thing as emotion that helps you in the playoffs, beating Atlanta this way, 31-27, should do it.
Atlanta cost them a playoff berth in the finale of the 1990 season. So this was kind of a payback. They were the better team. they had Emmitt Smith. They had guys going for a rushing title in addition to a playoff spot. Like I told them.
Yeah. You heard what Rick Gosselin said. No, that's a payback. Okay. Yeah. So yep. All right. That's it, and that's all for Classic Cowboys Talk. I am out of here. May God bless you all. Peace out. How about them Cowboys?
Who?
Cowboys.
What's my blue and gray team?
Cowboys.
And who I'm rolling with, huh?
My Cowboys.
Steelers better get it right. Giants better get it right. Who?
Cowboys.
What's my blue and gray team?
Cowboys.
And who I'm rolling with, huh?
My Cowboys.
Eagles better get it right. Skins better get it right.